All right, good evening. It is 7:01 p.m. on August 2nd, 2022. We'll call to order this regular meeting of the Reading Board of Education being held strictly online. Present for the board are myself, Chris Parkin, Mike Hoffman, Stephanie Olson, Laura Gibbons, and Shirag Sadana. Present for administration, it looks like we have Dr. Pearson-Ugol, Ms. Scrofani, and Ms. Damaris. The first item of business is the consent agenda, which is the approval of the July 7th special board meeting minutes. Are there any comments or corrections with respect to those minutes? If there are not, we will deem those minutes approved by unanimous consent and move on to public comment. Any members of the public wishing to be heard, please raise your hand with the reactions button or otherwise make yourself known. Seeing none, we'll move on to board member comment. Any board member comment this evening? Moving right along, administrative reports. Dr. Pearson-Ugol, Ms. Scrofani, who wants to take the lead here?
I'll say that the Connecticut State Department of Education, in collaboration with the Department of Health, is beginning to release some statements regarding the school year with respect to health guidance. And I would say it will follow the general trend of a pullback from state level guidance to more local control. So I think we will see much of the same that was in place at the end of this last school year. We will certainly finalize any guidance and send out communications to families over the next couple of weeks.
Excellent, thank you. Sarah?
I have one memo in your board packet that is about an update to the chart of accounts. We have, it has no financial impact. However, the budget transfer is over $25,000 and so does require board approval. The math program that was budgeted in instructional supplies, we'd like to put in instructional texts. So it's just a clerical move.
Right, so it's purely a bookkeeping move. And what I can do, let's see, this is what we're referring to, correct?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
And so this is just to reflect that the math textbooks were budgeted in a different line than you'd prefer them to be in. So we're moving them now before there's any confusion. And so it is your request that there be a motion that the board authorize the transfer of funds to adjust the budget entries for fiscal 23 as indicated in this memo.
Yes, please.
Okay. And do I have that motion to transfer from 611 to 641?
I'll make the motion, Chris.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second? Thank you, Shirag. Any discussion? If there isn't, we will quickly call the question. Mike? Mike?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Shirag?
Yes.
And I vote yes, and the motion carries unanimously 5-0. All right, anything else at this point, Sarah, or do you want to save it for?
I'll save everything else until our discussion at the end.
Okay, very good.
Very much.
Any other administrative reports?
I was not expecting our schools to provide an update this evening. So unless Ms. Damaris would like to share anything, I don't think we're going to have an update tonight from the schools.
Okay, very good. All right. If there are no further administrative reports, we'll move on to board committee reports. Are there any reports from board committees this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to discussion and possible action. The first item being board vacancy. As members of the board are aware, Julie Hardridge has moved out of Reading and resigned from the Board of Education, which leaves a vacancy on the board. Pursuant to our bylaws, the board formally reports the vacancy at a regular meeting. This is that formal notice to the community that there is a vacancy on the board, and it is our intent to fill that at a subsequent regular meeting, which we would expect to be in September of 2022. All interested members of the community who would like to be considered for the position, which would be filled by the board for the period of presumably September 2022 through November 7th, 2023, should make themselves known to me. I will also provide notice to the town committee chairs of the political parties to let them know of the vacancy in the normal course, and we will proceed apace from there with the intent that we fill that role in September. Notably, this is for about a 14-month period, at which point in November 2023, during the municipal election, there will be a special election for the balance of that term, for which there'll be an election just for the 2 years remaining on the term that runs through 2025. Are there any questions about that process? Shrug?
Yeah, just curious, does it have to be filled by a specific political party? Like, does minimum representation rule still apply?
The minority representation
Yeah.
rule does apply. At the moment, the board is comprised of 4 Democrats and 2 Republicans. And so minority representation, I believe, would allow it to be 5 and 2, so it wouldn't constrain who could be appointed. The board has ultimate discretion as to who is appointed, and there are obviously various customs and expectations that go into that from various stakeholders also.
Okay, thanks.
All right. If there's no other questions or comments on that item, we'll move right on to 7B, which is the fiscal year 2022 financial update. Ms. Scrofani.
All right, terrific. Chris, do you want to share the memo?
Let's see. Got it here somewhere.
All right, while you're doing that, I'll just talk to it. So we were able to identify at this point in time, we are still finalizing the end of year financials, but approximately 1,200,000, you'll see in the memo in just a moment, in unexpended funds. And we also do have some encumbered funds as well. The bulk of those are for the purpose of school security enhancements. So we still have some estimates and some final costs. You'll also see up on your screen our June claims for our health benefits account. I included there the starting balance from last year, and then I also included our June claims and then our account balance as of June 30th, 2022. So on June 7th, you made a motion that to authorize the superintendent to transfer the unspent funds as of June 30th to the health insurance claims funds up to a balance of 600,000, and then return any unspent funds to the towns. So as you can see in the chart down at the bottom, that is our estimate of unspent funds as of July 30th. There's our employee health benefits account balance. The transfer amount to achieve the health balance, the health benefits account of 600,000, which is what the board motion on June 7th was for. And then just a remaining estimate of unspent funds. And again, it's an estimate of the final cost. So there's still some outstanding in some areas. Professional services, tuition, some energy costs are not 100% finalized yet, but this is an update of where we are and how much we'll be transferring to achieve that balance of 600,000.
And we should have greater clarity by September, because we'll have the July claims numbers, among other things, to give us a sense of what's going on.
Yes. So I'd love to answer any questions that people have.
I have a question. How do we end up with 1.2 million in unexpended funds? Is that abnormal or?
So I would say that I came to this role only as of July 1. And so I can only tell you that some of the concerns were to make sure that there was enough funding for our health benefits account. And so this is where we've ended the year.
I do want to caution that based on the status of the health benefits account, it started the year at minus 90,000, but that was before unspent funds from last year were transferred into it, which put it at a positive balance of 4 something. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head. So to a certain extent, there's not 1.2 million in unspent funds, because that 4 something has become minus 200. So really that 600,000 has been spent on health insurance benefits regardless. So we're talking about a number closer to 600 that is unspent, which is about a little under 3% of the overall budget. of which some is being used to offset the or to bring the insurance balance, the claims balance, to a healthier number.
But so it
And this
was,
is where I always get sort of queasy about the way that the health benefits account is drawn down in a way that it looks like there's more unspent at the end of the year than there is, because really we're paying ourselves back for the way we borrowed against the health insurance benefit.
are we like misbudgeting with the health account then? I mean,
No, it is really, it is a unique, it's a unique system just because of the nature of the way that we have our health benefits account. And so we want to make sure that there is enough in our health benefits account at all times. And so I think that it looks a little bit different than it looks a little bit different on paper when you transfer the money in and out. But that is essentially how the self-insured works. So it's not really unanticipated to have some remaining funds like this that would then go back in to that account.
okay, but you said a minute ago that in anticipation of needing to replenish the health savings account,
Yep.
we were underspending throughout the year. So are you saying that we were underspending in areas that we had budgeted for last year to account for what we knew we needed to put into the health savings account?
I can chime in that I think that our previous director of finance was certainly concerned at the trend regarding healthcare costs during this operating year, and wanted the buildings to exercise a lot of caution with spending. And I think that as we neared the end of the year, it became clear that there would be additional monies than perhaps might have been if the trend got worse.
Okay, so because we've been pretty conservative, I think, this year with our health budget, so we won't expect something like this number next year.
That's a very difficult thing to predict. I think at this point, we certainly hope
At
to
this point, we
be
don't
much closer to a narrow margin at the very end of the fiscal year. And that's a difficult thing to predict exactly. Sometimes it has to do with hiring and breakage. But I think that we'll have a better sense of that, certainly in terms of when all of the hiring has been completed, and we can provide an update in September. And then as we get into the fiscal year a little bit further, we'll have a better sense of costs that may or may not have been anticipated.
So
Okay,
you'll see more memos like this one along the way as we go to give us a really good sense about where we're going to be ending up.
Yeah. And I think it'll also be helpful as we move and adopt the budget platform that you built out into a spending tracking platform. We'll really have a better handle on what's going on a month-to-month basis, and there'll be fewer surprises over the course of the year.
yeah. Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Mike?
Yeah, Sarah, I have a question about these school security enhancements. We had two different projects that we had green lighted. We had talked about, applying for ARPA funds or paying for them in other ways that the superintendent might be able to figure out. Were we able to pay for both of those out of last year's operating funds?
Yes, we were. And those projects are both underway. We'll have a report to you as to exactly where we are, but some of the work is obviously ongoing right now in the schools in anticipation of September. So, and our back to school time. So that will be in your September board report.
And so the 165,000 that you mentioned in your memo, the encumbered 165,000, that includes those security projects?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so the 1.2 million is net after all of that.
Yes. So I have a list of everything that's currently in those encumbrance lines, and some of them we just don't have. I don't have final bills for. So some of our energy costs, we have one tuition, we have a particular transportation cost that are just not, that we don't have the final numbers on quite yet.
Okay. Thank you.
I have another question, unless Chirag, do you have a question?
I think you just got a hand stuck up.
Okay. Where does the water filtration project fit into here? Because I know we had originally talked about using ARPA, but I think you reverted to using unspent funds.
So that is also included in our, so that is also included. And again, those are facilities update. And so with Dr. McKinnon, I plan on being able to give you a full update about what those projects look like, the parking lot at RES, the all of the security enhancements, those types of things in September's meeting.
Okay. Are we expecting to have them completed before school starts, or probably not?
So my understanding is that the water project will not be completed before school starts, not through lack of urgency, but just because of the cadence of state sign-offs.
Okay.
We're still waiting on some supply chain things as well. And so depending on when they come in, we are ready at the building level for installation, but we actually need the parts. So I don't want to give a false sense for when they're all going to be there. But we are tracking it and following it. And I met with folks today about it, in fact, for a long time, just to see where we are going to land, and anything that we can do in anticipation of getting the products that we need.
This is a crystal ball question that kind of goes off the memo and looks forward a little bit, but do we see any inflationary pressures on the fiscal 23 budget at this point, energy prices, et cetera, and what sort of concerns we might have there?
So I think we've been watching that closely, and we'll get back to you with some of the areas that we are looking at. But I think that some different grants and some other things have just come in. An example is I'll be getting back to you with an update about our food services, and a grant that we were able to some federal and state funding that we were able to get for our lunch accounts. That's one area that I think everyone knows the price of food has gone up substantially. So that will be, again, I'll put that out in a memo. It just came out today, so I want to make sure that we have a chance to take a look at it in central office, but those are some things to look forward to.
Grants are good. Any other questions regarding the fiscal 22 update? Chirag, Steph?
No, I'm good.
No,
Thanks.
nothing for me.
All right, thank you, Sarah. And
Thank you.
that concludes the discussion of possible action item. And in feeling like record time, we're at the end of the agenda, and we'll look for a motion to adjourn the August regular meeting. Mike? Steph is laughing, which I'm going to take as a second.
Yes, that's a second. That's hilarious. I love it.
And in the absence of objection, we are adjourned at 7:19 p.m. and we will look forward to seeing you all in September. Thank you.
Awesome. Everybody have a good August.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.